I'm gonna run and grab a beer real quick. Jason, you watched both episodes, episode 9 and 10?
Yes.
Are you just as tingly as me and Aram?
I had a good time.
All right. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Tingly.
Tingles. The tingles. The Peter tingles.
Oh.
Welcome back to B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. I am Timothy Bennett, your host for tonight, and with me is Jason Chandler.
Hey.
Playing Mr. Potato Head over there. And then Aaron Banyan. Nine
What
toes. With a boot.
9-toe Banyan.
9-tone Banyan.
In finger relation, it goes to this.
Yeah, you are literally without a toe. And it looks weird because you had a big ass toe. So it's
I
just
did, and like my other toes curved towards it, like because of the way I went, because of my shoes. So now they just look like they're reaching for where the toe used to be, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tonight we're gonna do episode 9 of Only Murders in the Building, Hulu Original Series, and oh my God, this was good. This was a good one. And,
This was a good one, yeah.
I don't know. It just every episode since they stopped showing Amy Schumer has been phenomenal.
This season, I have to say, I think this season was better than last season.
Right.
I am like this because like the first season was the introduction season, all right? So it was
Right.
phenomenal. It was great. It was new, but now we already know what we expect, and so they didn't disappoint. They amped it up.
Right.
So like I agree. It's just that, like I don't know.
Yeah, nothing taken away from the first season because obviously that was, right, like you said, it's the introduction. So there's the novelty, and there's going to be a special spot for it because they built this thing in that season. But this season just amped everything up. I mean, I feel like the writing's amped up.
It's a consistent
everything is just
uphill trajectory.
Yeah, it's just everything's gotten better over this season, like from last. So I think.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, this episode 9, is called Sparring Partners, and I don't know. I thought this is. I mean, it's extremely appropriate for a reason, but like I actually liked that focus. Like I liked why they call it Sparring Partners, and I liked that it was the focus. Of the reason why they called it what it did. In this episode, oh man, it was so good. Closing in on a killer, Mabel takes her investigation talents into the ring. Oliver and Charles duke it out over a birdcage, only to end up confronting their deepest paternal struggles.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know. That was, it's them being the comedic geniuses that they are. The two
for sure.
Men, I don't know. It's just pushing up herd cage, not going anywhere. It's perfect. I liked it. It's just those two, man. I wish they could get
great.
married.
I mean, they can.
They can.
But
I'm just saying, like they should. They're the perfect couple.
They're basically married.
They basically, yeah. They're just the
They
perfect.
spend enough time together, right?
They know each other so well.
Yeah.
Ends and
Comedic
outs.
soulmates.
My understanding is, I believe they
soulmates.
vacation together, like their families vacation with each other, as far as I know.
Well, I mean, between this show and their touring comedy act that they do, and this being friends for fucking 40 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, like besties too. So it's great.
Yeah. Right?
I love these two so much. And you know what I realized too, and this is a fairly recent epiphany, which is sad. I don't know why I didn't realize this before. I love these two separate, but together, I can't get enough. Like
Oh
ever.
yeah,
Like,
they're one of those unique duos where like they're a lovable character and have many accolades on their own, but the second they get together, like some form of magic happens.
Mm.
absolutely, yeah, it's magical.
And I'm struggling right now to think of other duos like that, but like I'm sure there's been more.
Not like that. I mean,
Not like that, but like definitely still like people that like like you get the same kind of sensation out of like super groups that form in music.
Mhm.
You know, artists that like are on their own, significant artists, but then when they get together, all of a sudden something completely like magical happens.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that way about John Mulaney and Nick Kroll, kind of like, yeah, they'll grow old together in their comedic shit.
and it just works.
Yeah.
Although I'm not a Nick Kroll fan by any means, I do like John Mulaney. I think so. Yeah. So this episode.
Do you guys like the intro with Rappaport's
his narration?
I love like, Michael Rappaport, so I loved it.
It had this weird like Scorsese mobster-ish type vibe to it.
Kind of like
I think that's his
the music.
It's a Goodfellas feel.
Yeah, well, that's his Eastern accent too. That's his accent too.
Accent. Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean,
love those
I understand
movies,
what you're saying,
so
Jason.
it was cool.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I liked it a lot. I love Michael Rappaport, so I was all for him being in the show more.
Mm-hmm.
So I was totally
this episode
okay with it. Yeah,
it was all about it.
Oh, for sure.
So I agree. Like,
yeah, it was fun watching Mabel just toy with him and fuck with him, and she just stepped on the gas and just threw it in his And
it was almost refreshing.
Yeah.
I want to try to go chronological in this episode and a little bit, but it was so refreshing to see Michael Rappaport not cater to the sexism or the child bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was no fucks, just telling her how it was. Like he was just like, ugh, get in the face. You know what I mean? Like, it was oh, she's a girl. I gotta watch what I say or what I do. No fucks. No, he had no fucks. No fucks, and I loved it.
He's definitely not old school New York, I guess would be the right way to look at it.
Yeah.
Like
I wouldn't put it past him to just slap a bitch.
And that character is like probably out of touch from PC culture, and
right.
He just does what he knows, and that's the old school way.
Well, and he said that by saying, "Hey, you know what the problem with your generation is?
Yeah, yeah.
Your parents told you could be whatever you want, and then the teachers, they just backed that up." I thought that was a great kind of monologue.
Yeah, it was.
It was oddly appropriate and yet not appropriate at the same time. It had this very underlying, hey, you probably shouldn't be saying this, but he's not wrong. He's not necessarily wrong.
It's like a sort of like an attack on PC culture
a little
to some
bit,
degree.
yes. Well, and him being the comedy person that he is, and his mentality, his New York mentality, like that's who he's always kind of been. He's always been the tough guy, hey, fuck you, hey, fuck you, hey, fuck you kind of guy.
Yeah, he's got videos on Instagram just fucking yelling at Trump and like attacking these people, holding nothing back. It's just his actual personality.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we get, like you started with, Jason, you get him, what's his character? Krebs.
Detective Krebs.
Yeah.
Did we get a first name? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was like, who cares?
Who cares? Doing a narration. And what is he talking about in his narration? And it's during when he's doing like boxing, sparring in a boxing ring and stuff like that. All slow motion.
I know he goes over like, I'm just struggling to remember how he starts it out, but I know he goes over the fact that like, you use extra money or like you need extra money. So you take extra gigs to like make that extra cash. Like he even says like, oh, you take side gigs, like working security over at Coney Island.
Yep.
Which obviously is like an allusion to the previous episodes.
Where we find out what?
He's Glitter Guy.
Glitter Guy. Whatever this is.
That's right. What is that? Oh, that's sign language. What?
Oh, that's kind of fun.
That's so fun.
So he talks about that, and then he references the fact that he spent time in Oklahoma, doesn't he? Is this the part where he mentions that he went to Oklahoma? He talks about moonlighting in other precincts.
He mentions that he went to a bumfuck nowhere kind of place just to make a quarter.
Yeah, because he talks about moonlighting in other spots, like
evidence.
He talks about moonlighting between, other precincts and stuff, and the Coney Island gig to make extra cash.
Yeah,
because like living in New York, like you'd think that he says his salary is like $80,000 a year,
85 something without, and that was before taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you think you'd be able to live, but not in New York City.
Yeah, New York, the salary cut.
Yeah,
$5 billion. That's with a B.
Yep.
And then his salary was 85 something, and then after taxes get taken out, after mortgage, and after his alimony, he's like left with nothing, not enough to survive on. So he's talking basically about the economy in New York.
Yeah, and he basically just gives like a rundown of like why he thinks. A lot of it is like, he tries to give you a slice of life, like this is what it's like to be a New York cop, and like what you got to go through, and like, but sometimes things happen that like go your way, and then he references meeting someone in a bar.
Yeah.
Meeting that's
he or she, if you're into that kind of thing, or she or
he just says it a couple times.
Kind of he does. I like that though, for whatever reason. Once again, that weird PC thing.
It's that weird, like, and I struggle to say it this way, but like. To say it's like old school Bronx or Brooklyn, like sort of attitude, but like trying to be like more forward about it. Like,
it's your business is your business. Whatever you're
it's being accepting, but like at the same time, like he's still making mention of it because like it's not his thing. He wants to make that clear at the same time.
Right.
Not me. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But yeah, he basically the monologue ends right around where he's like talking about going to a dive bar and meeting someone like on one of these like trips.
Yep. And it's just him turning his head to the camera.
Yeah. Like looking down the barrel, I think referring to the reference.
By the way, he does not look good when he stares and smiles. It looks menacing. It looks very
especially
disturbing.
when he has that far away look. Like when he's not focused on anyone, like it's a very disturbing look.
Yeah. He looks like a vampire who's like hasn't figured out that he's a vampire yet. He's hungry.
The 1,000-yard stare that he gives half the time, like when he's like, because he always leans his head back and it's just blank. Like he's not focused. Like it's just looking off into the distance, and like you don't know what he's thinking.
I really hated that
neither
shot
does
though,
he.
because he looks so waxy.
Yeah,
the lighting and everything. It did not do good for him.
But when you figure out where he's supposed to be, that might be on purpose.
And it's appropriate. I'm not saying that it's not. He just looks so waxy, and it's like,
oh yeah, he looks like a mannequin in that shot for sure. But
and then he blinks, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right,
it's alive.
And who is he staring at? Who was he apparently talking about?
Well, the next shot I believe is. Do they give a shot of her?
Yeah, it was
at this point.
Tina Fey.
This is the
staring right at Tina Fey.
Yeah. I didn't remember her being in the beginning shot. I knew she was at the end.
She's at the end.
In the beginning.
So yeah, Tim skipped to the end.
No, this was in the beginning when he's doing the dead stare and he's doing the narration. He turns.
I just forgot.
Then you meet that one
forgot
person,
that she was.
And there it is, Tina Fey leaning up against a post, turns at him, and then they go to the next shot.
I'd forgotten that part.
That was the intros. Yep.
All right.
So,
Cinda.
This was a great build-up. It was a great start of a episode, in my opinion. Like they do a wonderful job with their intros, like the beginning of like making you.
Oh yes, that's what I mean. The writing has like just gone so well so far.
They just seem so confident in their fucking craft, and they're just toying with the audience with their writing. They're just they're having fun. They're playing.
And it's one of those things where you really don't question, but you could question, where are they going, or what's the purpose of this, or whatever. But we just trust at this point. It's just we trust what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's it. But it's like, oh God, they always get where they need to go. That's the incredible thing.
Yeah.
No matter how much shit they throw in your way to like, distract you,
Yeah.
they always get you where they need to go. Like the whole Amy Schumer thing. As far as I know, that's just a distraction because we don't know why she was even there. They tell us
Guest
at the
spot.
time,
Yeah.
but we haven't heard about her. We haven't seen her. They haven't gone back to it. They've just completely moved on. And I'm 100% okay with that. It's just, what was the point? You know what I mean? It was just a distraction. That's all it was. It's like, oh, look over here. He's here. He's. So, jingle, jingle. It's my cat reference.
Right.
But in this next scene, which was probably the one scene I loved the most, there's that simple little thing is we get Selena or Mabel talking to Charles in their room on the murder board, right?
Yeah.
And they're basically trying to do what?
Oh, make any connections they can.
Yeah. They're just trying to fill in some pieces. They're still talking about Michael Rappaport or Detective Krebs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where they're pinpointing is like, why is this guy? And they're basically calling him an idiot. They're saying that he's too stupid to create this elaborate plan. So there's somebody else. So they're kind of not really ruling him out, but they're just saying there's got to be somebody else.
Yeah. They're making him an accomplice. He's not the mastermind.
Yeah. And that was where it's a criminal mastermind. Oh, yeah. Got to remember, that's a great name for a TV show. Oh, wait. Pulls out the phone, pulls the whole Oliver thing. Yeah. Remind myself that Criminal Masterminds is a great TV show. I love how everybody's adapted that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those audio notes.
Yeah. Oh, wait. We got to take notes. Because even Selena Gomez later makes a little joke about that. Oh, God, I got to get a life.
That's right.
Well, this was a very important episode or a very important scene. And it was right away because it's leading us to believe, oh, there's somebody else. There's got to be somebody else. And oh boy, did they do a great job at just straying you everywhere just to be mine. They just basically go, well, who is it? You know what I mean?
Who can it be now?
Did you guys feel like at this point you had a better understanding of who it could be?
At this point?
Yes. Because they've already kind of given you something.
Well, I knew where it seemed like they were trying to lay it. Like I know they were trying to lead me to a certain spot, and I know I was at that point. I was on board with it. Like I was like, this fits perfectly.
Who was that? Who were they trying to lead?
They make you think that Cinda is
the master,
basically the mastermind. Because I mean,
holding the strings.
So they make it seem like she's the one in charge. But at the same time, like I would like to say I was totally on board with it, but at the same time, I never leave anything open to that anymore because they fucking change the game on me all the time.
They fuck with us.
God, they do. How many times did I think I was right?
Right. Yeah.
More than me.
Right. I came close, kinda. For at least 2 episodes back to back. I thought it was this person, or I mentioned it was this person. And then that next episode, they completely bring that person in just to rule them out. I'm like, oh, fine. Fuck you too.
Suck it,
very
nerd.
serendipitous, but the Tina Fey, the Cinda, what's her name?
Cinda Canning.
There it is a perfect person to lean on that direction. And I agree. I was 100% okay with it. Now, when we found out that Mabel was going to go and talk to Officer Krebs in that ring, and that's where the sparring partner comes into play because it was a mental thing. It was a witty banter kind of, hey, let's get some information, the interrogation kind of concept, and then it was the physical sparring. So it was a beautiful, perfect title for this episode.
Now, did we skip the birdcage?
No, I'm not yet. We did. I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
We're good.
You wanted to go chronological? I'm just making sure we're going that way.
I mean, yeah. We haven't.
Okay, just double
Still
check.
going on. Stop interrupting me. Jesus.
Never. Anyways,
that whole section. Yeah, we learn about.
Yeah.
Now you just fucked up my flow, Aaron. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
my thought went right out. This is why you can't interrupt me. Bird. Fine, we'll just get into the bird. Now I don't know.
Well, you were talking about the sparring partner, like with Mabel.
I know. I wasn't trying to dive into the sparring partner, but you fucked up my flow. So
we should change into night clothes and try this again.
Turn into night clothes?
Sure, changing to
night clothes.
I love it when Oliver just busts into the apartment. And he's like, I don't know if we're here yet and if we were ready to talk to each other in our night clothes. And Mabel's just like, night clothes.
Yeah.
It wasn't Charles is like, no.
We're not there yet. Night clothes? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I love how they're making jokes about the close connection they've,
So
growing as friends.
The whole purpose of the birdcage. We're gonna talk about that. What did Oliver come busting in? What was his whole purpose of busting in the room during this?
Well, he'd been up all night. Was it because of the bird?
The bird kept him up all night, yeah. But what was his news? What was the point of him busting in to talk about whatever he wanted to talk about?
He got his DNA results. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the DNA results.
Took me a second. I just forgot for a moment.
Yeah, he's Greekish.
He's Greekish.
Greekish.
You know how I thought I was Irish? Well, I'm Greekish. His explanation was great.
Yeah, it was.
Did you believe him?
I thought there was something off, but I don't know. I didn't. I had a weird feeling about it, but I don't know.
I honestly
was happy for him at the same time.
The way he was being, I let it slide. Yeah. Like I don't know that I fully believed it, but at the same time, I was like,
I was happy for him. Like, yeah.
I assume that would have been addressed in the next season. Like we said, that's going to focus more on Oliver. Because like each season is like a different person. But
see, and I have to agree with you, Jason. I think I was just so happy to hear it.
Yeah.
That I didn't even question it, not one bit. And it was just like, oh, great. Because I felt really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we get some kind of good news, I guess, right there. And it's kind of chipper up, cheer us up a little bit. And then they start arguing about the birdcage because basically what?
Well, Oliver's decided to gift Charles with the bird because he can't sleep with he can't stay with the bird anymore because it kept him up all night. And they start to, Charles obviously doesn't want it because I think he said something like, I don't have anything in my house or my apartment that like caters to anything really living or something along those lines.
He says he can't have anything in his apartment that openly goes to the bathroom.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. I remember it was some strange remark, like something to do with his neuroses.
He just doesn't want the bird to shit openly in his cage or anything.
So they
openly.
So they're having that argument in reference to you pushing the cage back and forth at each other, even though it's not moving because they're two 70-some-year-old men.
I just loved it. I loved watching it. It was just slightly moving back and forth.
Yeah. Until the bird is just like, just kind of, bobbing and weaving with it. But yeah, then
you really know there's no force because the bird really didn't do much. It just sat there.
Yeah, the bird doesn't care.
Nope.
And birds would care if you're like rambling their whole house. But yeah, it hits the wall or something and a secret compartment opens. And what is revealed but the missing painting of Bunny Folger?
I don't know why, but I love Charles's reaction. Just pulls it out and goes, "What is this?" Like it was like so cheesy. But I loved it.
Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, so they found the
authentic,
what they believe to be the authentic Savage painting. Yeah.
Yep. So at this point, they have both paintings. They have two paintings of the same image, and that's him and of his father and Rose Cooper. Right? That was who was supposed to be in the painting. Rose Cooper.
It's his father and his father and what we assume is Rose Cooper at least.
Yeah, I thought we were.
Or I think, or was it,
Rose
or
Cooper.
was it, or was it supposed to be Leona Folger? Because Rose Cooper was the painter.
Yep, and I thought it was supposed to. I'd see, and that's what I don't remember. Now I don't remember.
I think it's supposed to be. I think that's why she shows up claiming to want it, because it's supposed to be of her and Charles's dad that Rose Cooper painted for them.
Okay,
I believe that's the way it ran, if I remember right.
Maybe
because that's what prompts Charles to go on his little search while Mabel is conducting her own investigation.
Yep. Yeah, and then at this point we separate. Like
I like
yeah.
The gold Scooby-Doo separating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody has their own like miniature investigation or interaction to do.
Yep. Yeah. I just love how they're so quirky all the fucking time about everything they do.
Yep.
Mabel's the most serious one out of them all.
Yeah.
And even her little seriousness is like always making fun or mocking how quirky, how infectious the old guy's quirkiness is rubbing off on her. And I love it. I love that she's just so resentful about it.
Right.
She hates that she likes it.
Yeah, she hates that she likes it. Yeah. It's a part of her life.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't know what to do without it. When we who do we see next? Was it it was Oliver, right?
I don't remember who we saw first, but yeah,
Oliver and Nathan Lane, and then we
Oliver and Teddy.
They're fighting the elevator.
And was that next?
I don't know. It cuts to all three pretty
simultaneously.
And then it's Charles and that lady. Charles getting his closure to his father's story.
Let's talk about Nathan Lane and Charles, because that was a fantastic moment.
It was pretty quick.
That's later. First we get Willie comes back into the picture, and then that's where
that's right.
Oliver tells Willie, "Hey, I got the DNA results," and he's like, "Oh, are you Greek? I'm so Greek that I would go bankrupt and nobody would help me."
Yep, that's right.
So that's where he says, "I'm your father," and you find out that what does Willie say? That he didn't realize how much it weighed heavy on him until
because he was freaking out about the play he's producing. He's like, and when he finds out, he's like, I didn't realize that was how much of a weight that was on my shoulders.
Yeah. Did you guys, I don't know, feel like a chill about that, or am I the only one? I got really sappy about that episode or that scene.
Me too. I was happy for them to close their gap because there was a disconnection there, and especially in the first season.
It's I feel like there's the tropish like line of like blood doesn't equal family. There's that little blip, and like the idea of like a father is someone who raised you. It's not your blood relation.
Yeah.
So there was those pieces were there for me. I don't think I got as sappy about it as you guys might have. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great scene. And I can understand like what they were saying. I just didn't get as choked up about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I got a little choked up. Like I wouldn't say choked up, but I definitely felt watery eyes.
And I think
just that connection, like you said, Jason, it's because of the first season. There was such a disconnect, and then in this season, they were building a bond. And then all of a sudden we get this news that he may not be his father. It's like, oh my God.
So they use that DNA results to really just close the gap and pick and like put all that shit behind him.
Right?
Yeah,
and then
all that
just
history.
Throw that in the fucking face. Like it's a big slap in the face.
That's
all I gotta say. It's a huge slap in the face. Like I said before, I feel like Oliver's the one who has the most heavy shit going on in his life. Like the most emotionally heavy shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
And this is
probably got the biggest debt.
Oh God,
so many people.
Just so many people. Since I don't really remember where the episode or where the scenes go after that, but let's just hop into Teddy and Theodore. Let's just go right into that that right next to it.
Oliver and Teddy end up on an elevator together. You see Oliver coming in with hummus dips and stuff from wherever. I don't remember if they're from Teddy's or was Teddy. No, I take that back. Teddy had the food. Yeah. Teddy had the food. Oliver was walking his dog, whose name I've forgotten now. Oliver gets on
Millie, I think.
Yeah,
something, I don't know, Minnie.
Yeah, Minnie.
But anyway, Oliver gets on after walking his dog, and then Teddy catches the elevator as well with food in his hands from the restaurant.
No, he doesn't have any, or does he?
I
don't think he has anything.
I swore he had food in his hands.
Are you thinking about the other time in the elevator earlier?
Maybe
when he said, "I'm gonna fuck you."
When he had this, yeah.
Oh yes.
Don't know when.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
either
way,
he's just standing there waiting for the elevator.
Yeah. And then the fight.
And they were going down, is what it was, because Oliver's kind of yelling at his dog, saying, "I don't care how soft it is. It was cashmere. We don't pee on things that are soft."
Yeah. I got those two scenes mixed up then in my head. But anyway, so they're on the elevator together. And before the doors even close, Oliver lunges at Teddy.
Yeah.
And it says, "I'll kill you." To which we find out that
I love this scene.
I've been watching Modern Family, and Nathan Lane is a recurring character on Modern Family as one of the gay friends of the gay son.
Oh yeah.
And he's just delightful. But this is the scene where you find out that Oliver's lied to everybody else that Teddy is actually the father of Willie.
Yeah.
Well, who interrupts them first?
Was it
Howard?
What the hell is it? Was Howard? Yes.
Yep. So when they're fighting, and then it stops, Howard's at the other. Oh.
He's like, "Oh, this looks private. Oh no, come on in. It'll be fine."
Yep.
And then they start fighting, and they start fighting behind him.
Yep. And he just immediately wants to get off. He's like, "Oh, that looks fun. Enjoy." Leaves. I don't know why. I'm a sucker for Howard all of a sudden.
Howard's great. I love the
episode.
I love the fact that he's been made more prominent in the story.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
So yes, they end up back at Oliver's place, right?
Yes,
it is Oliver's place. I couldn't remember if it was Oliver or Teddy's. Oliver's place, and Teddy.
Sorry, he just walks in the door and shuts the door, slams the door in his face. Can I get anything for you? Wine, water. What was it? Said something else.
I can't remember what it was. But there was a brief conversation, and you hear that Teddy was like, "Oh, it only happened once," and then it's real that it happened twice because he talked to his wife. So we have established the wife is still alive.
Yes,
I remember we had this question the other day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up. How we got to this point though is in the elevator when they're yelling at each other. Oliver says, "You ruined my life, you son of a bitch," and he's like, or it's after. Nathan Lane's like, "Well, why are you doing this?" He's like, "Oh, you don't know. Oh, well, you're my son's father, you piece of
right.
shit."
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Established.
Yes.
So we established that.
We got that baseline there. It's the conversation continued.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It continued.
It continues in his apartment. To which he said, "I already talked to what's his wife's name, Rhonda."
I don't remember.
I think it's Rhonda. She's because Nathan Lane basically goes, "It happened once," and he's like, "Rhonda said twice." He's like, "It was twice one night."
One night.
Oh, now you're just bragging.
Now you're just bragging.
What do you two sell quarts of your semen, like your hummus? Have you impregnated anybody else in the building?
Yeah.
Was it gracious sperm?
Are you gonna suck 37 dicks on the way to the car? It was like that type of fucking.
Oh man.
Like petty attack. Yeah.
But yeah, so through the conversation, they almost bond again over troubles with their children.
There was a quick resolution here.
Yeah. It was a weird.
It was a weird bonding, but it was a bond. Yeah. And then you have
very odd. Yeah.
And then one of my favorite lines.
But it worked. What was that? What was your
favorite? One of my favorite lines is like, "Can you just do me one favor?" And he's like, "After you putting me in jail and me sleeping with your wife, aren't we even?"
Aren't we
squared? Yeah.
Aren't we square? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But basically Oliver says, "Can you not tell anybody? Like you and Rhonda kept this a secret
for this long
for 30 or 40 years at this point. can you just
can't be too much to ask to just keep it going.
Keep it a little longer, because I mean, obviously I think Oliver even says like it probably won't be around much longer. But
that's
the resolution of that conversation.
One of the things about this scene, I honestly have to say this is probably one of my favorite scenes in this episode. I loved the little spat in the elevator. I thought it was comedic gold.
Yeah.
But it also was heavy because that moment when Oliver tells tells Teddy that that he's his father's son, my heart broke. I was like, oh shit. Like I genuinely did not question that was what he was fighting him about. I just thought he was just a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like he just wanted to beat him up and he was just pent up stress or whatever. I really didn't know why he was trying to attack him.
Right.
So when I heard that, I was like, oh, my heart just broke. I'm like, oh no.
I think I
knew it when he attacked him. I was like, oh shit, he was lying about the son thing.
Yeah, I think that was the second I saw his outburst. So like, I see what's going on.
I just think I was completely enamored with his happiness that I just didn't want to think it like that. Like I genuinely just felt, no, that can't be it. No. And then he said it and I was like, oh, I wanted him to be so happy. I didn't want it to be real. I really got invested in this episode.
I was like, this just shows different like aspects of like our relationships to fatherhood or being fathers and having fathers.
No, never mind. We'll talk about this some other day.
Having and not having. I know it. Anybody that's listened to other episodes of other shows we've done knows
what our average man.
Knows what we're talking about.
Yep. This conversation in the elevator and in the apartment was super important to kind of just level everything out, to kind of understand where everything is. It really didn't serve a big purpose for this episode as a whole, though, did it? It was like kind of one of those things.
It was the cap. It was the cap to a side story.
Yeah,
and it brought closure to that side story because it all that side story had done was cause emotional turmoil that was distracting Oliver. And it basically capped that all off so you can be like, okay, Oliver's back on like the main plot.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to like really deter him from that now, other than his own hubris.
He was just absolutely. He was just kind of weaving in out of his own little path just to stray back in. Yep. Which is what he's known for. That's what he does.
Yeah. Well, just for sure.
His train of thought, for that matter. Just the way that he thinks is over here while everybody's over here, and then he just pops back in when he feels like, oh, that's an appropriate spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Super, super good. And it's Martin Short, man. It's fucking him being whimsical and endearing. I was
trying to think of like an animal to like compare it to, because like I didn't want to say it was a goldfish because that's not the way he thinks, but I don't know. I couldn't think of it. It's like having a puppy half the time. Like he gets really excited and all of a sudden he like wanders off and he's like doing that and he's like, hey, what are we doing?
I feel like it's a mixture of like a chicken and a peacock, right? He's trying to look beautiful like a peacock, right? He's trying to peacock and style himself up, but he's got the fucking mentality of a chicken, just sitting there bobbing his head. Just flashy. That's all. Chicken and peacock disguise.
Do we want to do Charles next, since it's another subplot that's not?
Yeah, let's dive right into that one because I can't remember. I think this is where we get Mabel figuring out where to go talk to Krebs, and let's talk about the Charles, because that's another cap. Basically.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's another side story cap that we finish up with.
Let's dive right into Charles.
Charles goes looking can't find Leona Folger to give her painting back. So he goes looking for her. He finds her registered at a retirement home.
Yep.
And he's on the phone. He's talking to the lady. He's like, I just saw her the other day, and he's getting the impression that like he's told that she hasn't left the place in forever. And he like looks up the retirement home on the website and like finds a picture of her, and it's not who he's been talking to is Leona Folger. Yeah. So he tracks her down. I think she's in another apartment in the Arconia.
That's how it seemed. Yeah.
I thought she was. It looked like it for a minute, but like it's an empty apartment. I feel like she's in Sting's apartment.
Well, no. So she goes to Charles's apartment. he doesn't go to her.
I thought they were in like a separate apartment.
No. Well, so he calls her on the phone. That's all we get is that he calls her.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
To his place.
Yeah.
That's all we get. Yep.
So at that point, that's where we get the reveal that she's not Leona Folger. She's Rose Cooper, the artist who disappeared.
And Charles figured it out.
Yep.
All on his own.
He's so proud.
He really just Brazos lives.
Well, here's the thing though. He does, when he's talking to these people, he did this to her before. His serious mannerism, like he's calm and collective. He's not nervous. He's not being this the character that we see all the other.
When he
times.
channels Brazos, he's actually good.
I don't even think this is him channeling it. I literally think that this is just so important to him that it's deep to it, because it really is. It's deep inside. And this is that emotional distraught that we've kind of talked about that makes him the way he is. And this conversation in particular, when you find out what about this painting?
Well, the big reveal is that there's a painting underneath the painting. She lets Charles cut away the top painting, and she takes and rolls it up and takes, and she says, "This one was for me. This was for him." And you see a new painting. It's like it was everything that he wanted to be, which was a good father. And it's a silhouette shot of Charles and his dad looking up at the Arconia.
Well, not even a silhouette. It's just
the back.
Or the back.
Backs of their
That's
characters.
What I meant. Yeah. But it's them looking up at the Arconia, and like that, she tells him like that was everything he wanted to be, was to be a good father.
And he had just had a conversation just before this about, my father wasn't a nice man, whatever it is. I thought he was having an affair or whatever, or not. They talked about that prior, but like, we know that he was having an affair with this chick
Cooper.
and then Bunny's mom,
Leona.
And he's like, my father wasn't a very nice man, was he? He's like, I don't know anything about him. And so like that painting just kind of almost broke him. Like it was like this weird.
Well, because you find out what happened to his, like why he came out covered in blood in that scene. Because Rose even says he saved me from, and like basically he saved her from an abusive husband.
Abusive husband, yeah.
So that's why he was arrested covered in blood that night, because he beat the shit out of the husband.
Yeah, or so we can assume at least.
At least we can gather that he at least beat the shit out of him, if not did more.
He protected.
Yeah.
And really, like, it's not what we expect, and it's not what he expected.
Right. Because I mean, you get this sort of to know the way that he views how his father passed and died, like how his life ended. You know, that it wasn't a good, like the drinking, like he died broke, blah blah blah. To know that it all stemmed from acts of love.
Right.
I'm sure is very hard to process, especially for a man who's held on to those feelings for 50, 60 years, if not more.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Having a kind of.
It's a heavy weight.
Yeah. And that's this episode. They should have maybe just called it that. Heavy weight. There's a lot of finishing.
Yeah, but Disney owns that title.
Points. The what?
Disney owns that title. You can't use it.
Heavyweight.
Yeah.
Jason, did you find anything particularly interesting in this episode so far?
I really like that line from Mabel. She's like, I don't need to make my life about the shitty parts anymore. Like,
oh yeah,
that's her discussion with Alice.
Yeah,
Alice comes back.
That life lesson, that life advice about just leaving shit behind, moving on, not living in the past type of thing, and just not dwelling in the negative. It was a really well written line, and maybe in the mood I was the day I watched it, I really attached to that.
Yeah,
that's legit.
Line.
Well, that's a good line.
Yeah,
especially because of who she was talking to.
Yeah,
and it's like, what did Alice say? She said she made a comment back to it. I just don't remember. Like, oh, that's very big of you, kind of thing. I don't remember what she said.
Right.
Just said, "Oh, you forgive me."
Yeah.
It's more of like I just want to move on.
Yeah.
I liked when she was like, you and trying to do something with your shitty art. It was like, oh, now it's shitty art because you're mad at her, but before it was all beautiful and one of a kind and all this compliment shit. It was funny.
That's
how people are.
Yeah, I was just saying, I kind of felt, I don't know. I feel like I could say the same thing. If I'm mad at somebody, I'm like, well, fuck that shit. It's terrible.
Yep. No matter if you really like it or not, I'm gonna I'm gonna talk shit about it.
I kind of almost forgot about that little blip because it was just a little blip.
Yeah, it was.
Once again, it was concluding a point. It was just these open things, and then they're tying the knots and they're finishing them off, and they did it beautifully.
Yeah,
they did it.
They spent too much time on it. They just very concise.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're too concerned about plot holes. They want to make sure everything's sealed and tight.
Are they too concerned or
no? They're just making sure that they fucking tie things off.
And my only gripe on this episode is Mabel holding the punching bag. She was not holding that thing right.
Yeah. So now we can get into that.
Yeah. Now let's get into because this is the one that actually matters.
To
the main story.
This is where the moves. Yeah.
What it's called. Sparring
partners.
First off, Jason, did you like Mabel's outfit? You hate her style. You always hate her outfits. She's just wearing a green shirt with like dress pants,
with like black
pants.
Black tights or black dress pants. Yeah.
I want to say yes. I haven't been hating them on these last few episodes.
That's right. You did compliment her outfit last time.
My main argument is she didn't come with a bag.
Right.
Where did she get the clothes she wore when she decided to spar with Krebs in the ring? Was she wearing them underneath?
The same clothes.
But I mean, if she's wearing dress pants, I mean, those aren't proper ones to wear in the ring.
She's wearing the same clothes. She didn't change. She just had a coat over her. That was it. So she just had like a trench coat or whatever she was wearing.
But didn't she get in the ring with like? Maybe I'm making shit up in my head because I feel like she got in the ring with like just a sports bra.
I thought it was
still
like
wearing the exact same green shirt.
I thought it was like a beige white. I don't know, whatever.
I mean, at least you remember she was wearing clothes. I'm just like, I wasn't really concentrated on her fucking wardrobe. I gave up on that last season.
She's very out of place in a fucking boxing gym.
She definitely
that's for sure.
Especially that kind of boxing gym. It seemed like a bunch of old people.
Sweaty...
Like, it looks like a cop place. You know, like cops have their bar.
It's not like it's not a Gold's Gym or a 24-hour fitness. Like it's a nitty gritty like old gym. Like the kind, it's like the kind you'd see Rocky training in,
or like $1 Million Baby, or
which is what she does. What?
What
was she doing when she walked in there? She made a comment about Rocky.
Oh, yeah, she had a couple
she digs at him a couple times.
Yeah, she just like spitfired him. That's right. I forgot about that.
How did you like that? Because I personally am like this. I need some. I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it. So how did you guys feel about her walking in there and just spitfiring these insulted puns?
I understand why you were like, does it, or I don't.
You know,
I felt like it was necessary for the jokes, but they weren't forced or anything. I don't know. It's right there in the middle.
I feel like this is my
I
thought process on it. It seems almost at a place that she is that collected to know Krebs that well that I can just push his buttons by insulting him.
Yeah.
That's my problem, is that there's no development between.
She just wants to push his buttons to get him riled up.
But my argument with that is that it doesn't seem like she's smart enough or knows enough yet to know that that's how to get him to confess.
Why is she so comfortable?
Or if she's just there, it's like an interrogation method that she's way too comfortable with for someone who's not used to doing this sort of thing.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm sitting on it. That's how I feel.
I thought that too, but I was like, I guess she's like pinned. She's pushed into a corner and she's fighting her way out. So maybe this is like her last, like, fuck it, I got nothing to lose. I'm just gonna.
She's angry.
I'm gonna attack.
That could be it too.
And she is kind of still falling flat on her performance, and I can't, like, her face is just so like blah. Her tone is so blah. So it's hard to like feel what she's thinking, but so
I think it's also hard, like when you're acting with, depending on who you're acting with, like a guy like Rappaport who emotes really well, especially when he's giving that snark and that like that anger.
Yeah.
For someone who's not that big with a like doesn't have that heavy a range, it's probably hard to match him. Would be the would be the best way to say that.
That's
and that's not digging at her at that point. I don't think she has that range yet.
Right.
I think this is just character. They're just playing into the character. Michael Rappaport plays these common characters very often. Like he's kind of known. It's almost very typecast.
90% of his like 90% of his roles are this guy.
Yeah.
Doing one thing or another. He's either a cop or working for the mob.
Even when he was in that show about him having a family and stuff, it was still very similar.
He's a very blue collar. Like he's a very blue collar guy.
Yep. But I still feel, even though I understand why Jason hates her Selena Gomez's monotone, I get it. Still playing the character.
Yeah. Hate's a little strong, but yeah. I'm just saying it's hard to like read. So my best guess was that she's backed into a corner and she's fighting her way out. So she's just attacking him with anything she has left, whether she's comfortable or has the experience in this interrogation type of thing.
Yeah.
It was just my way to fill in the gaps and make sense of it.
The puns, though, I think this helped. Jason, I think you kind of helped with this. It was Aram, you said pushing the buttons. I think that's why I can accept it. But the fact that Jason feels the same, I feel okay. I just think I can accept it. I just didn't know if I liked it or not, is really what it was. I was like, oh, she just comes in there, says 3 things, and then just goes, I could do this all day. I love boxing movies and I love puns. I don't think I've ever heard her say a fucking pun.
No.
Before.
Yeah.
So that's not her thing. That's the old guys thing.
Right.
Yeah. That line was it was a writer through. Yeah. It was not her. It wasn't her character.
Yeah, that's exactly. It seemed out of character for her to do this. But her getting into the ring. Now, how did you feel about that spar? How did you feel about what she was doing? Because this is basically one long, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Interrogation.
Yeah. And then I like that Rappaport knew, he called her out. He's like, I know it. You think you're gonna try to get me to say something stupid? You're trying to push my buttons and all this stuff, and and then
he calls her out on what's going on.
And it was just a way to move the story into its finale. It was a kind of a little rush, but they had fun with it. And then Rappaport, I'm so happy he was the actor for this character, because he does play this doofus like guy very well.
Yeah, so he plays a roughneck
when he slipped, and it was like, you think I'm so fucking stupid? How did I connect with the
smartest woman in the world?
Yeah, and right there, I was just like, you don't even realize what you just said. And he delivers it so perfectly.
I think that's why this worked so well, is because he's playing the typical, oh, I'm not gonna fall for that shit, and then he slips
and falls for it anyway.
Because he thinks that he's smarter than her.
Yeah,
he thinks he's got that shit on lock because he's smart, and he's not. He's a fucking idiot.
Well, he thinks he's smart because he's got the smartest woman in the world. He doesn't think he's smart. He knows he's got the smartest woman in the world, so he's smart enough.
But he thinks because he's pulled off all the other shit that he's done that he's got it locked. And
that's what I mean. He thinks he's smart enough.
So
now, what was the other thing that he let slip, Jason?
Something about Oklahoma, doesn't he?
About the podcast.
Yeah.
What did he say about the podcast?
Oh, he has his own, or
he compares theirs to amateur shit, and then talks about people that are like real podcasters and whatnot. OG podcasters, right? OG podcasters.
He's so gangster.
Everything's all right in Oklahoma.
All is all right.
All is not all right in Oklahoma.
There it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. All is not right in Oklahoma.
that statement right there did what? What did it do?
It answered.
Oh, it brings you back to the beginning of the episode.
It solidified our belief that we're supposed to believe that this is fucking Tina Fey.
Right. And you understand that he's involved somehow, but he's just a fucking pawn.
Yeah.
He's a soldier. He's only being told what to do. Yeah.
Don't even give him that credit. He's a pawn.
Right.
He's not even a soldier.
Soldier fell too.
Punk ass. He ain't a pawn, he's a punk.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, then that opens up the doors for Mabel to put some shit together and figure out that Tina Fey's the criminal mastermind.
And what else was a piece of clue that she
she goes to see Poppy next, doesn't she?
Nope. That's towards the end.
No.
Okay.
What did she find at the gym?
Oh, the emblem on his hat.
And
that
towel.
And the towel, yeah. And it's a chicken. It's a chicken head.
Yeah.
It's the same emblem she saw in Coney Island.
Yeah.
So she's confused. She's like, I know this from somewhere. She can't figure it out.
And that's where she starts to dive into her detective mode.
Yeah.
Now,
flipping the pieces.
Can you guys agree though that she's on a mission?
Yeah, oh, she's very focused. Yes.
He wants to clear her name.
Yeah. And there's like almost no bullshit. And we get this when the two old guys were fighting over the bird. And what did she say?
Fuck if I remember. Damn it.
She's like, oh, this is humiliating. Like, this is ridiculous. She's the only one that's focused while these other two guys are not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Oliver's just focused. He's just pissed that they're stuck on the podcast, basically. He cares more about that than the fucking murders. And then,
Yep. When she met Alice, what did Alice do?
She gave her something.
She gave her a bag
of stuff she left at our place.
No.
No, it was gifts. It was gifts.
It was a gift.
Was it puzzle pieces?
Puzzles.
Yes, it was puzzle pieces. Yeah, that's right.
She made she gave her a bag of puzzle pieces.
Oh, yeah. There were pictures of
it's a collage that basically makes Mabel look like that painting of Frida Kahlo. But it's like all the pieces are like various blips about Mabel's life. Like there's you see the piece that says all is not okay in Oklahoma and all these other things. She starts
and she's hearing the detective's voice in her head, which I did not like. I understand why they did it. It worked. It was like perfect, it was purposeful, but I just didn't like it. I thought it was way too cliche. Like,
is this also where we hear her listening to Tina Fey again?
She does, yeah. So when she pieces all that together, she was listening to the podcast or whatever. Yeah. And that's when
Tina Fey talks about going to
Cluck and Dunk.
Chicken Clug or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So and describes the
Chicken Cluck Dunk or something. I don't know.
Yeah, describes the emblem for the store as this chicken head with like, I can't remember the colors offhand. I think it's green and orange and something other. But it's basically the emblem that's on Krebs's head or hat and his bag. So that this is
just telling us that it's Tina Fey.
Right.
They're literally shoving it down our throat.
They're spoon feeding it at this point.
Just here, Tina, here, Fey, here, suspect, here, murderer.
And that's when Mabel goes. That's why I knew the symbol was familiar. I didn't see it anywhere else. I'd heard it.
Yeah.
Because Tina Fey goes into detail about how she'd go there every day to this dive bar called the Chicken Club or something like that, and that's where you get the scene again of Michael Rappaport at the bar, and then looking over and seeing Tina Fey.
Yeah.
So then we have Mabel going to the studio to talk to Poppy.
Yeah.
And this is where like Poppy reveals like, oh, Cinda is a liar. Like there's she'll do anything to get a story. And she's like, well, why are you so afraid? And she's like, cause my name's not Poppy. I'm
Becky Bulcher or
no, that's Bunny. Becky Bartlett. No.
Yeah.
Butler, Becky Butler.
Butler.
Yeah.
Becky Butler.
Yeah. And that's the missing person that
the podcast is about
became
Oklahoma.
famous for, right?
Yeah. Because they caught her killer.
Yeah. We're gonna have to wait on that.
But yeah, so that's the big reveal that like Cinda has already framed somebody. Why wouldn't she frame more people?
And that was they fucking cut it off right there. Another fucking
you get Mabel putting Cinda's face on the murder board, and everybody going, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And that's where they cut it.
That's where they cut it off. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
The way,
she comes rushing in.
Shit. Yeah.
Just tacks Tina Fey's face on there. It's Tina Fey.
Right under criminal mastermind. Bam.
Yeah.
Syndicating.
But here's the thing. All the pieces, obviously, they like you said, Aaron, they spoon fed the shit out of us.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. She's intelligent. She has motive to successful podcast kind of thing.
She's,
all that shit.
Driven. She's a leader.
Yep. Yeah. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's spiteful. So
she's cold.
She's cold.
Cold as ice.
Cold as ice. Yeah. She's a cold ass bitch. And she goes down rough like fucking vodka.
I mean, cheap vodka. I mean,
taco.
Good vodka is supposed to go down either. Okay.
Smooth.
Yeah. Car crash on the other handle.
High school.
Car crash will
like
take
blue
paint off.
Yeah. UV blue.
Vodka in a plastic jug.
Yeah. Car off.
Gordon's.
Yes.
Yeah. Silver Wolf.
How? How
I've been broke before.
How did we get? Let me rephrase this. The writing. We've talked about the writing, but how far have we come from the beginning of this fucking season to now? Of season 2.
The writing has gotten so much deeper. Just emotionally, it's hitting all these spots that you wouldn't expect out of these guys, but at the same time, they're capable
out of the characters.
Yes,
right. That's how you feel.
Yeah,
like these characters wouldn't have this kind of emotional beats that they do, or whatever. Yeah,
because they're painted very much in the beginning of this as bumbling idiots,
and they're not wrong.
I need soup.
They're painted as bumbling idiots right up until about episode 8.
Yeah.
But so I mean, you don't expect the beats and the revelations that you get from these characters to be as profound as they are.
Yeah.
And so the writers are hitting depth that no one's expecting, and I think and they're not shooting too deep either. So I think what's nice is that they've left themselves wiggle room to make sure that the next season is just as good.
Yeah, they've done
or to even exceed expectations.
They've done an amazing job at really humanizing these characters so that you connect with them.
Oh, yes.
Anybody could feel this way or whatever. Like, at least have a sense of empathy for the character.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. How do you feel about the twists and turns that they've given us in season 2? They've definitely amped it up, but how did you feel so far?
I've loved it. I will say I joke around
about the distractions, but do you feel like any of it's been a waste of time?
No, because they've added emotional depth to the characters. To whatever degree. I mean, seeing Teddy with Will, or the revelation of like the way Charles's father and his relationship, or even Mabel's love life has added depth to the character because she's had some like interesting revelations and reveals through that relationship. So as long as they're serving a purpose, I don't have a problem with them.
Right.
But the problem,
it goes further than just getting a laugh, because even they give some depth to the super fans too. You get some shit there. Like you got two of them. Like
one guy for sure.
Yeah, and then you get the other
depth
two
to the other residents of the Arconia.
Yeah,
so true. you get these varying pieces of depth to other characters so that they can become bigger players in the future. And I think that's also smart because that gives you room to make more story.
Yeah.
or better story. And like I say, as long as they serve a purpose, like I'm okay with all the side stories. It's even when they become frivolous and they don't serve any purpose, and I'm like, why are we distracting me with this? Like,
and
I'm
wondering if that's what they did with Amy Schumer, because she served no purpose because they didn't take that route.
I feel like Hulu was like, you have to use Amy Schumer because she's on this new show that's a Hulu original, and it felt like a studio thing, and they just played with her the best as much as they had to. It made fun of her, and got out of there.
Yeah, we never went back. Her whole purpose in that thing was to tell Oliver to go find the painting. But that's it. There was no other than the mention of a name in the next episode after we'd stopped seeing her. Like, they never concluded that situation. So I don't know.
I mean, she served the same amount of purpose that Sting did in the first season. Like Sting
was a joke though. Like, you know what I
mean?
So
was she. It's a guest spot,
But the thing is with Sting, is they led him to be a suspect, and then they took that suspect out. You know what I mean? Like, they concluded that. They didn't have to go back. They just went, he's not it.
And you know, that's just a different style. I mean, because they hadn't tied anything to Amy Schumer, so they could just not go back to her.
Other than whereas Sting, they had tied the mission. Like, they gave them a quest, and then they didn't go fulfill the quest and come back to her. You know what I mean? I think I just looked way too much into the fact I hate Amy Schumer. She should have been there to begin with, and she was, and they didn't even fucking do anything with her. So what was the point? Why did she have to ruin 2 episodes?
I want to know who the big star or guest star is next season.
Right.
Sting was the big guest star, wasn't he?
On the first,
in the first season.
First season, he was the big guest star. We had 2 really good guest stars, but it was only like Amy Schumer was the only one that was just playing herself.
Who was the other one?
Because Shirley MacLaine playing Rose Cooper was a big get. But I mean, like,
she played a big part in the story.
And she played a character. You know, if they're playing them, it's when they're playing themselves. That's interesting.
Fuck, maybe that's why I hate it even more.
Yeah, because she was just being herself,
and I believe that's who she is. A fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not gonna rant.
Then also character development, like the Howard thing. Like, we got to know Howard and his new relation. Yeah, Howard got to meet that guy, and they set it up to where you thought his partner interest might have been the killer because he sneezed. And, you know, and so they kind of wasted our time. They distracted us with that, but then like we got to know Howard a little bit more. We got to know this new guy, and then now they're like,
and you also get the Nina and Lester bit. When he's putting together the baby swing, like, so you get those little bites of life stories that, like, you get just like some emotional connection to those characters, like I say, and I think that lays groundwork for them to be able to make more stories and better stories in the future.
I think really what we're all summarizing up is that they're turning this the Arconia into a character itself with all these people under its umbrella. So it's an entity of itself. Everybody under that umbrella is important to this place. We're just now seeing why in the first episode, or I'm sorry, in the first season, there was so much animosity to everybody. Everybody just kind of hated each other. They just clicked, or, you know, like in their own little group, or there was just so much negativity,
seemingly hated each other at least.
Yeah, they wanted their own separate thing. I don't know. There's just so much animosity to this building. And then they solved the murder. And then in the second season, there was a little bit more of a closeness.
Coming together.
They kind of came together. Still a little bit of, some animosity, still a little bit there.
Some pushback, some resistance to coming together. Yeah.
But then that's where we see these pushbacks. They're not full after the Bunny Folger murder. They had a different take on life. And that's where they're just showing, like you're saying, Aram, like there's more to these characters. And it just takes, like, this is a community. This is a community. And it was being all held together by Bunny Folger, who hated them all. Loved them all at the same time.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to express her affection in the proper way.
Yeah, but she knew everybody. She knew everything about everybody. And it's not just her doing her job well. It was like, it was who she was. Like, this is what she is the Arconia. Like,
So she cared for her tenants. Like they were her family.
And so when she's gone, and that's where we get, like you said, like the Nina one with the doorman. Perfect.
Yeah,
that was a perfect example. Perfect example of that right there. And then Howard, God, we hated that guy in the first season. He was annoying.
Yeah, he was annoying.
And now I fucking loved it. I thought this is one of the greatest episodes was him in it in this entire season. Like, I just loved that little love interest. I was like, yeah, you get it, Howard. You be happy.
Right.
We developed connections to these characters, just like these people were getting connections to each other.
You're given the chance to develop bonds to characters that aren't playing a major role that you wouldn't necessarily think to bond with.
Yeah. There's no small role in this. Essentially,
only small actors.
Only small actors.
That's the rest of the saying, right?
Yeah. There's no small roles, only small actors.
Yeah.
To end this episode, other than our review,
5. Sorry.
Do you think that the appropriate weight and the appropriate piece of comedy and all of that stuff had created a sense of new style of comedy, or possibly a revamp of old comedy and old storytelling? I've been sitting on this for a little while since I've been watching this series, this second season, that there's nothing new about this.
No, and that's what I was going to say. I don't think there's no new forms of comedy. It's all like, it's just comedy with different flourish to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just the presentation of the comedy is just different.
Yeah.
But I think this is very much blending. It's doing what dramedies, which I hate that word, because most dramedies are not funny at all. Like they may have parts where you go, huh, but you never laugh.
I usually find this is called dark comedies. That's more of an appropriate term. And even then, sometimes it's not really that dark. It's just.
But this is probably doing a better job of blending comedy with serious tone, because you get these, especially in the season, like you've gotten these emotional beats that are punctuated with like a joke or two to make things not so heavy that you can't come back from it.
Yeah.
Like it, you get the weight of like, Will and Oliver, trying to find the common ground or whatever, and trying to make sure that they're still father son, but that's punctuated with humor that like you're like, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing well here. They're taking serious shit, like what would ostensibly be a great murder mystery on its own, and peppering it with comedy and emotional stuff to make it something more.
Yeah. This is why I'm kind of asking the question, is because none of this is new. There's nothing original about the way they're telling the story. But for whatever reason, it's phenomenally fresh.
It's the same concept is now
fresh.
The same concept is now with food fusion. So you take aspects of another genre and you fuse it into a new one to try and create something new. And it's not necessarily new, but something unique and different. So and that's really what they're doing here.
Do you agree?
I do. And I just I'm glad fucking sitcoms is like a dying thing. Because that's how I met your father type of gone. The How I Met Your Father format, and like it's been beaten to death. So it feels, I'm glad that it's nowhere near that format. It's hard to explain, Tim. Yeah, that's why I've been sitting here trying to fucking think about it, because I know what you're saying. It feels fresh. They're using tropes appropriately, so it's therefore not original. But it's just,
it's the same thing with.
And I think we've explained this throughout our series of our episodes, in bits and pieces. So
it's the same concept as like horror.
We're coming up on
comedies, like.
I know.
Horror comedy is a new thing too. It's a new fusion of that's a new thing. Like, well, it's a new thing, but it's a new concept that's taking off. The blending of comedy and horror.
Yeah.
And that's the new. So I think that's a lot of what they're doing here is they're taking like, well, I like a good murder mystery. And that's what they have is a good murder mystery. But like, let's freshen up. Let's not make it quite so heavy. So we pepper it with comedy and stuff like that.
I've mentioned this before. This is a TV series of Clue, the old show Clue with Tim Curry and Christopher.
Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean.
Yeah. The original Clue.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like just today. And a lot funnier.
Every episode is basically it was Colonel Mustard in the study with the wrench, or it was Professor Plum in the kitchen.
And that's why, like, I don't know. I've been sitting on it trying to like, I just want to know why this feels so fresh and like we've seen this and everything, but it just seems so fucking fresh. That's all I can say.
I don't know.
I'm not sick of it whatsoever.
No, for sure.
It's like I can't get enough.
I can only hope that other people that have the skills and the abilities that these guys do decide to take a shot at it, because they can only, even if they fail, they'll probably do something far better than what we've been given.
Yeah,
a lot of these days.
Sitcom format. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
All right.
Yeah.
We got one episode left. I'm super stoked. So this episode is a 5, right?
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Right. I don't know. I'd love to give it more.
5. Count 5.
5.
All fucking 5 fingers folded into a fist to punch my sparring partner. Boom.
I go cardio kickboxing on Tuesdays.
We're doing Taibo.
By the way,
take all the style and grace of boxing and add kicking.
I do not believe that there's any remote chance that she could do anything to anybody.
Oh, God, no.
Just,
no.
Like you said, she was holding that punching bag all wrong. But I did like a comment. Oh, did you throw a punch yet? I was dreaming.
Yeah, that was good.
Felt the slight breeze.
It was a great joke that a comedian talked about his girlfriend taking Taibo. She thought it was a form of self-defense. He's like, I think she's going to get beat up.
Right, she's going to start some shit that she can't finish. So, all right, gentlemen, this has been episode 9 of Only Murders in the Building, season 2, Hulu Original, called Sparring Partner. We mentioned this before. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. I was telling my mom today, I started rewatching the episode. My mom was sitting next to me because she came over to do her laundry, and she was hooked. I told her like months ago, you need to watch the show, and she still hasn't. You know what she did? She texted me saying, oh, I started watching the show tonight.
Nice.
Come on, everybody. Follow the king. Mr. King's watching. You got to watch
That's right.
too.
Aaron's father.
Never misses. We turned him on to the show, and he hasn't missed an episode since.
And that goes for our podcast and the show we're talking about.
Yeah. And Rotten Tomato, 100% on Rotten Tomato.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah,
100% on Rotten. It's also the #1 show in the world.
They have. There's 17 Emmy nominations for Best Actor between Martin Short and Steve Martin. Like they're. It's one of them two that are gonna win.
Passing it back and forth.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The
17 nominations. 17 nominations. It's fucking amazing. So yeah, that proves that season 2 is better than 1.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna hopefully constantly get better. So.
Which is awesome. Yeah. That's
like
hard for a show to do.
Trajectory. That's all I gotta say.
It's hard for writing and all that shit to get better as you go forward.
Oh, well, gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. It's been a great episode. I'm glad to talk about it finally. Oh, I watched it like 3 times already, so I'm so happy with this one. All right. Well, that has B&B. I don't even know how to talk anymore.
That's been us.
That's been us. Stay tuned. Check out the next episode, episode 10. We will catch you later.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Hurt feelings make me laugh.